they're like 5-year mission, and you're like, let's go!
Let's go! Captain Spot, Stardate 2013-95.5. Welcome aboard the Starship Derperprise, and thank you for joining us on our continuing voyages through the final frontier. I'm your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me as always, she shoots first and asks if that was your buddy later. It's Ambassador Deneé.
Did that happen last episode?
Yeah.
I don't remember what happened.
Well, Tegas is
No. I don't remember on purpose.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's completely... You don't remember her Gorn friend and what happened.
What
No.
is happening? Why are we going back there? This was trauma.
It died brutally.
It did.
It had such character until it didn't. Well, Ambassador, can you actually believe we're on the final episode of Strange New Worlds? Season 3.
No, I can't.
This is the end of the season. It's such a weird season, and I think that's why it feels weird that we're at the end.
It feels very strange and abrupt, and maybe to some it feels like good. It's time. Let's be done with it. I'm talking about Commodore, but it kind of feels like when you take a road trip and you sort of have this epic adventure in your mind, and then the stops along the way were like the world's largest ball of twine, and that one dinosaur that's been painted so many times since the 60s that it's basically a blob now,
and
or
the giant fork.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, it's fine because the next thing is going to be great, and then all of a sudden you've arrived at your destination.
Yes.
It maybe feels a little bit like that, but
I get it.
The adventure along the way, I don't know. I think I said this in season 1, and I maybe said this in season 2. I love this show. So it's kind of like it can't really do too much harm to me because I do enjoy it. However, I feel shocked to be at the finale.
What just popped into my head was that you usually say the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and I think it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I'm loving the parts. I'm loving the people, the ship, the visuals, but the collective end product keeps disappointing me, and that's so weird because I'm with you. I love watching each individual part as it happens.
We wanted to sit down and go over episode by episode just to sort of remember what the season was about. Mm-hmm. But it's too big of an idea to go into just the podcast now. Mm-hmm. So we decided to do like a little one-off episode. So if you are part of our Patreon support tier at $3 a month, that's the Founding Tieflingers, that'll just be in your feed as soon as we have it ready. However, maybe you don't want to join, and that's totally fine. We decided to also make it available for just a few bucks so you can just listen to it if you want to.
Assuming that the Ambassador remembers anything about any of the episodes,
it's gonna be interesting.
It could just be me talking the entire time, reading from Memory Alpha. Well, this week, Ambassador, Season 3, Episode 10, New Life and New Civilizations. Give us some quick predictions about what the season finale is going to be. Boot.
Oh, let's hope it's about new life and new civilizations.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? It's so interesting to like spell it out as the thing that we've been missing. And if it doesn't deliver this time, it's almost like we're being trolled. So yeah, I'm thinking that too.
Because this is the finale, I have to think back on like what seasonal story things they may need to be wrapping up. As much as I want this to just be like a one-off episode of Star Trek, super fun, they discover something brand new and have to use our crew to get through it. That's just not been the MO of the season. The season seems to be a little bit different than that. We did have a little bit of that, I guess, with the archaeologist find episode.
Yeah, we've had a couple. Yeah.
That was the timey-wimey one.
Mm-hmm. But even that had a tag on the end of it. Like the Vendra Verada are still out there.
Yeah. So that would be maybe one of the lingering things that they could potentially bring back. I would be great if they didn't. It'd be great if that was just a one-off thing, like this Saturday afternoon in Starfleet situation.
Yeah. I feel like there's Ortegas's new trauma that she's had compounded.
Yeah, maybe.
Which I feel like it's almost too soon to deal with that, but maybe they will.
I wonder if that's the beginning of trying to create some distance between Ortegas and other characters on the ship so that either she can leave
because we know she's not there. Yeah.
Why do we know she's not there?
Well, we know she's not in the original series.
Oh, I see.
Patel would be one, even though I think that we're done with that. You and the Commodore are pretty convinced that we aren't done with Patel just yet, with Marie. So that would be another thing to wrap up.
what if this episode is exploring those the prison people's strange new world? Like, because then it would be them going. There would be a little bit of Gorn. There would be, because maybe if Patel's there, she could sense the creatures if they've floated into another being, kind of a thing.
Nice.
If Patel's not there, Spock had the Patel sensibilities kind of imparted into him, so he might be able to feel some weird stuff going on. He saw them, or he saw something strange whenever he was looking into that prison pool.
Yeah, the prison statue.
I thought it was like a birthing pod, but it was like
it was the prison well. It was like a well. Yeah.
So it could kind of do a lot of those things and still be a strange new world and potentially be a new life. So maybe it has something to do with that alien species, because I still think that there's something about that in the Gorn, but that will.
It does feel like the biggest hanging thread.
Probably be happening next season.
Yeah,
maybe this is the setup for next season.
Yeah, it could well be. Well, my bold prediction that I'm almost certain isn't going to happen is that the Enterprise is going to be recalled to Earth and reassigned to a deep space mission that is the Star Trek as we kind of understand it. So you are going to go onto deep space. Maybe it's like a trial run for the 5-year mission, because Kirk is famously on a 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds and new civilizations.
I forgot about the 5-year thing.
So I wonder if this is like a trial. You're going to go on a 2-year mission as a trial run for the 5-year mission. And that's going to be the setup for season 4 and 5, and just a bit of a reset to this will be much more episodic in seasons 4 and 5, and it's going to be much more deep space, less politics and stuff, and more, like as in Gorn Starfleet politics or whatever the new bad guy is, and more, these are your adventures in deep space, and you're kind of on your own as well, because you're going further than anyone has gone before. Because again, we've missed out that on the theme as well, going where no one has gone before.
Yeah, because we've been very restricted to the territory many times. It's like, we can't go in this area, we can't go in this area. So
it's
you're right.
It's more like the Enterprise is on a kind of patrol mission, and stuff happens while they're on patrol.
Oh, that's really good to point out, because I hadn't really thought about that before. It would be neat if they decided to prep that as like the next thing that we're going to be doing. Do you think anyone's going to be dying in this episode?
No, I don't actually.
I don't either.
I feel like that's going to be really jarring versus the tone of the season, which has been a very kind of overall kind of comical season.
Oh, I said dark. You said comical.
Oh no, we've had some like really cool. Like, what's been dark about this season? Wait, and that's another question. We'll get into that on the bonus episode.
We'll do our recap.
Yeah, we'll see where we go with that.
Before we jump into the episode, what are the predictions that we had for the season?
So my predictions were we would have 5 cameos from named characters. We've had 2, so unless we pack in 3 in this episode, I'm going to fail on that one. A Klingon episode, I'm counting that because of the Klingon zombies. A drastic haircut, which we had the reverse with Uhura, who actually had drastic hair growth between seasons. And a time travel episode that I fall in love with. We did have a little bit of time travel, but I far from fell in love with it. So I am 1 for 4 on this season. I haven't done very well with predictions. Deneé's prediction, Spock is going to be in it. We get a big tick. A shuttle will explode because of some kind of debris.
That counts.
I'll give it to you.
I mean, that was pretty cool.
It happened. It's not necessarily
half
because
a point.
It did get debris. It was hit with debris and then eventually was eaten and destroyed.
I think it wasn't destroyed by debris, so it's debatable, but I think I should get
I'll give you 0.75 for that. A potty humor joke. I don't think that's happened yet. New species, very gilly, very green.
Definitely happened.
Definitely don't remember that one.
Probably in the wedding episode somewhere in the background.
Yeah, no.
What happened to the 3-armed lady, by the way?
Right, the bartender, nothing. Joined the ship and then nothing.
We'll talk about it in the recap show. We'll talk about it later.
Blue twinkly lights absolutely happened a couple of times with the Q and the Metrones. Someone's going to wear a light lavender dress. Don't remember that. And something about a clam, which you're claiming happened at the wedding with some hair that I'm still not debating.
100%.
We have had a terrible season of predictions.
Why are you talking about
Your episode-by-episode predictions have been much, much better. Well, with that, let's head over to the holodeck to watch the episode. We'll meet you all in 10 forward for a full debrief for the season finale of Strange New Worlds. 2 to be, Matt. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab something from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched. Most important question first, Ambassador, what would you like from Pike's Captain's Dinner?
I would like a customized Starfleet apron from the dinner.
Yeah, your word.
Which dinner are we talking about? Is it the
very
one?
First
the
one.
very first
The very
dinner.
first,
Okay.
the proper Captain's Dinner.
So what I remember about that particular scene was a lot of happy people holding alcoholic beverages. So I don't know what was in one of the wine goblets, but I will have a wine something.
So I think I just want Scotty's kilt, actually.
What? I can have the apron, but...
You can have the apron. It's just not the branded one. It's going to be the generic Pike apron. Give us a synopsis, Ambassador.
Okay. In today's episode, it's exactly what I thought it was going to be.
This is insane. This is wild.
So
your predictions were way too accurate, as was mine.
Yeah, we both nailed the prediction. So we have to talk about this a little bit. So obviously, I predicted this episode almost to a T.
Yeah.
And then at the very, very end, they're like 5-year mission, and you're like, let's go!
Let's go! They literally say 5-year mission, and we have all of the data, and we're going to explore. They self-impose enough for 5 years. I predicted like a 2-year mission as a practice run for the 5-year mission. They just go and say the thing.
It was exciting because we both super nailed our prediction, and that felt really, really good.
Yeah, really cool. But you absolutely nailed that this is going to be Batel, the Vesda, the planet. I mean, everything other than what happens to Batel specifically. Yeah, you predicted the whole thing.
So during the episode, once I realized that she was there, and I didn't say it during the first part of the show, but I wrote it down like she is the protector and is going. So I knew what was going to be happening during this episode.
Yeah.
But yes, for the purposes of the podcast, the synopsis of today's episode is the finale of Batel's storyline with Pike.
Strange new Batels.
We revisit the Vesda storyline because, as it turns out, the pattern buffer transportation shenanigans did just what we thought it was going to do.
Who would have thought?
Shit got fucked up. And this being has managed to teleport out of the ship and get back to a very important colony where it has taken the form of a god, and it's going to open up a portal along with the help of Starfleet to get back to the prison and free his buddies. And our crew is attempting to figure out how to intervene, how to help. And in that moment, Batel realizes that she is the being that is basically guarding the well. So the idea is that this alien race is pure evil, pre-existing any civilization, where evil comes from. And she is the light being that is the only one that can stop it. And so we're looking at a sacrificial episode where Batel knows that she is going to have to give her life to sit on top of the well forever and guard against evil. So it's kind of an opportunity for her to say goodbye. But the twist kind of comes in when we see that she and Pike have kind of this timey-wimey galactic moment and get to live out their entire life together.
They get to experience each other's inner light for a time.
That feels like that was a really important reference, Captain.
That was a reference to an episode of TNG. Yeah.
If I was reading it, that would be an italicized. It would be
italicized in quotation marks, underlined, bolded, and I winked.
With a little asterisk that has a little reference at the very
Please see bibliography for references.
The other stand-up moment is, of course, Spock and Kirk
having
a unification on a deep, meaningful level.
Hey, did you do that on purpose? Unification is also an episode.
No.
Okay. Damn it.
No, I mean, it's just a word that describes two people merging.
That's fair. Not everything is Star Trek, Ian. Not everything is Star Trek.
I mean, but maybe it is. So yeah, there's a lot that happened in this episode, but I think that's kind of the highlights.
Ambassador, I've noticed the last few episodes that the immediate thoughts and feelings has been a conundrum for you. So let's just do a gut check where you don't overthink it, just your gut emotion. How did you feel about the episode?
I think I liked it. What about you?
I'm with you. I liked it. I have some kind of about it, but overall I really liked the episode and I really liked the angle they came at it from and their willingness to do this. It's the type of episode I like. Couple of things just didn't stick for me.
Yeah, it was a very packed episode.
Yeah.
A lot happened. And I think that's sort of what I'm still digesting is how much I just, like, so we talked about the road trip earlier and how it's like you're kind of like stopping along the way and you're like, oh, that was okay. And then you get to your destination and this was the destination for the season. And it's like, obviously I do a lot of road trips around the Ozarks and the destination was a antique shop that's just full of stuff that you're really curious and you want and it's just everything is happening. There's like a lot going on. But then
also there's an arcade that's full of really futuristic stuff that doesn't really fit anywhere else in the shop. Yeah.
There's a couple of items you're like, I don't know what that does. Does this actually belong here?
Yeah, exactly.
For me, that a large in part is about the super being, but we'll get to that.
Let's dive straight in because there's going to be a lot to digest for this episode. Let's start off with the opening, which is the captain's table dinner. And I just want to say, I love these scenes and they've officially become the new poker scene from TNG for me.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know why it's only just clicked. Maybe it's because we watched an episode the other day of TNG where they find Tasha's sister and there's a great poker scene at the beginning of that. And so it's maybe just fresh in my mind. But it's my favorite bit of the episode, which is a bit under like, what would you call it? A bit anticlimactic, but it's the crew together. It's this... Yeah. I want to live their feeling that I get from TNG, which is I want to be a part of this captain's dinner. Everyone's just like, especially at this point in season 3, they're a lot more comfortable. They feel very comfortable with each other. Yes. Everyone's in their roles. And of course, they pull the stunt on Scotty that they pulled on Uhura in season 1.
Oh,
because Uhura's in formal dress and we were like, oh, they're bullying her, they're hazing her, and they did the same thing to Scotty in this episode as well. So it was a nice little callback.
Yeah. I have it written down in my notes that it was really, really powerful for me. But like when we first saw in the first season, there was a bit of awkwardness because everyone felt very new to each other and you kind of were more in almost like Uhura's perspective because she was trying to figure out how to fit in, even though Pike had pre-existing relationships with like Una and all this. Now we're really comfortable with the crew. And even though there are like less familiar faces that are in there, kind of like mingling, it just felt very warm and open. And I loved it. It really set the tone for what this show is capable of doing. And it makes me miss it more throughout the season. But yeah, I loved it. It was warm. It was inviting. It made me want to be there. And yeah.
There's a confidence and comfortability that it uses that as a framing device. It doesn't have to specifically be necessary for the episode, but it shows a comfortability for me that this is where they hang out and this is where we really get to see them at ease, and it's why I love this crew so much. Like they absolutely nailed it. They really did.
And their outfits are so nice. Like Ortegas walks by and she's got this very, I'm not going to say it's a 90s pattern because 90s was like very neon but it had like this really interesting
2190s you can say.
Had a really interesting like big jacket, big zipper, bold pattern vibe, and everyone seemed to be wearing very unique to them casual clothes, which is great because there's so much that costuming can do to give you more insight into character. And we don't get to see them in their casual clothes very often. We get to see them in their work uniform, or we get to see them in their away mission gear, which is always really fun. But to see them in their genuine, like actual clothes that they would just truly want to wear, it really was a vibrant scene. There's a lot of color, a lot of textures, and I would watch that scene and pause it just to sort of look around the room. Same thing with Pike's house, like Pike and Patel, kind of towards the end. Yeah, just a really, really. It's really cool. The set design and the costuming is incredible.
We immediately get some exposition that Corby, Chapel's significant other, is following up on a word that Patel had said while she was possessed by the anti-Vesda, which was, Deneé, Skark.
That's it.
That's the word. And he is currently on the planet Skyguan trying to find out more about the Vesda and their history and the society that now praises them as a god. It's important for Patel to hear this information so that it can trigger her in some way and she gets a bit spooked out by it.
Right.
And as we're jumping between Skyguan and Corby, discovering things, and back on the Enterprise, they're working out that something's happened with the transporter buffer. This happened so quick. Like, this is an exposition dump to get us into the mystery of the episode.
Star Trek does what Star Trek does. They need the things to make sense and come up when they need to come up, and I guess it was time for a medical transport shutdown purge thing.
Even though they only did one a few weeks ago.
Yes, and it's in this moment that they figure out that something is going on. I love the idea, though, that there's like just different backups that need to be purged.
Yes.
Like when you take an RV camper out and it's time to go ahead and like flush the line, you know, and get the sewage out, and they have to do the same thing but with like information. I think it's a little bit difficult to. Mbenga had this like glance over on the purging thing, and I was just like, he's thinking about his daughter right now.
Oh,
right?
Interesting. Like, you would think he would, but I didn't pick up on that.
What a traumatic thing every time he has to be a part of the pattern buffer purging, just to have to like...
just to remember that.
Yeah, because he hid her very secretly in a special place where it couldn't be purged. And he must have had to have been very protective about all of this stuff that this seems to be like a routine thing. You kind of like, well, it's time to clean this toilet today. It's time to clean this toilet today.
Usually the lower deckers should be doing that.
So they're all in there. And of course, did it work for me? Yes. I mean, it's giving me the information that we needed. And also it's answering the questions I already had. When are we going to come back to the fact that this evil thing is living somewhere inside this ship? We saw it happen. They need to answer that question. So
yeah, it's interesting that it sounds like they did purge it earlier. So this isn't like, oh, it's time to purge this and make sure it's gone. It sounds like this is a follow-up thing, so it already happened. So while we were assuming it was still kind of in the system somewhere, it sounds like they have actually dealt with it.
This is before there's a problem on the planet, right? This is before
this is kind
Mbenga
of happening concurrently. So
because there's a moment when they're in the conference room.
Yeah, the briefing room.
The briefing room, and Pike is sort of like, we need to do this, this, and this. Let's do it. But that's after they know that there's a problem.
Yeah.
This is them figuring out that there's a problem.
Yeah, so as we're gradually being revealed, the signal, that something has rebuilt a human signal out of the transporter buffer, and we find out that it is the Vesda entity has rebuilt Nurse Gamble's body and then transported itself through the dimensional folds to the planet of Skygawan. And at the same time, they lose contact with Corby. So I think they check in on him and his communicator is out of action. And as we're cutting backwards and forwards, he is faced with Gamble, who is a figure that they have been worshipping and
AKA Masked Man.
Yeah, Masked Man.
Who had only been there
Vesda.
for a few days. Imagine being powerful enough that you're there for a few days and people will stab out their eyeballs.
Right. I think there's got to be some supernatural thing happening where he's exerting influence more than just... Again, cults do crazy things, so maybe it is just purely a cult.
There are a couple things this episode does that I don't know if it like breaks Star Trek people's brains, but having an entity that has the capability of existing in a pattern buffer, rebuilding a body, transporting it away, something about ley lines, and then also a super being later on. Like, did they stretch a little too far on this?
No, not for me. If there was one bit that was... No, none of it's really a stretch, to be honest. I guess it would just be the hop from the transporter to the ley line is the bit that I'm slightly confused about, because I guess why not just take control of the entire ship? Like, just use the Enterprise, like, instead of like skipping out, and because it needs the Enterprise, like it needs one of them to open the gate. So its plan is escape the Enterprise, go to the planet, and hope that the Enterprise works out what it needs to work out, and then gets there because it needs one of the crew to open the portal. So
right, I guess that makes sense because they do explain that later. Like, they need the Enterprise to move.
Yeah, they need a crew member there. He was literally waiting there for one of them to turn up and open the portal. But no, none of that really breaks Star Trek for me. It's just the normal techie stuff. The timing is a little bit amazing that it happens basically. It has to happen concurrently because they find out that Corby is out of touch. So anyway, the Enterprise gets in touch with the Farragut and decides that they are going to go on a mission, and the Farragut is the only one that's going to help them because we need more Kirk.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why is Kirk still captain of the Farragut?
He is not. We just didn't want to see his captain right now. So the Vulcan lady is the captain.
Oh, so when he was saying she owes you a favor, she recognizes that you saved her.
Correct.
I thought he was referencing the ship as she.
Oh, no. He was talking about, and he said, like, it's illogical that she would see this as a favor, but hey, she's not perfect. She's learning and whatnot. So it's just super convenient. It also shouldn't be her choice. It should be Starfleet's choice. Like the Farragut is in range. The Farragut will come and help you because we can spare the Farragut.
So why is Pike talking to Kirk and not the captain then?
Yeah, haha.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Completely agree. Just because we need more Paul Wesley.
So Pike reaches out to Kirk. Once they realize that they have a problem, they all meet in the ready room, and then Pike reaches out to Kirk to find out if he's willing to stretch some of the rules. And
to come and help.
Kirk says, yeah, we'll do that because he can speak for the captain.
He can speak for Starfleet as well. Like, this should have been, hey, Starfleet, we're going to need some support on this one. But they're acting like they're just neighbors. They're like, hey, you've got an RV. I need your RV for this trip. Could you come over? Like, you've got great phasers. I need them.
This episode packed in a lot.
Yeah, it rushes through a lot at the beginning.
So I understand why we were never on the Farragut, trying to make it make sense how Kirk is talking to the captain, and the captain is like, yeah, let's go ahead with this idea. Like,
I don't want to talk to Pike. You take this call.
This episode purely says, basically, Kirk's in charge of the Farragut anyway, and he can go over and chat and then come back with a mind meld Vulcan situation. Walk into the bridge and say, here's the plan. The captain says, yep, totally cool with this very, very highly dangerous, we could accidentally pull up a planet mission. Like, really just kind of like puts super skis on ice, and then we're just going down a mountain going, you know what, this is probably going to end bad, but there's a chance that we could break a world record here and it'd be really fucking cool.
Yeah. You're along for the ride. Just enjoy it. Just watch the X Games happen. So we do a bit of pre-mission exposition-y stuff explaining that, Corby's out of touch. We got to get to him. We can go undercover. We can't break the Prime Directive too much because they don't have space travel. So we've got to hide ourselves and not let them know.
But we can blast them with the beam of light from the distance. That's okay.
When we absolutely need to do that, we can do that. Anyway.
We can have two red dominating beams of light hit the planet and no one blinks an eye.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh, I'm sure there was blinking. They just
not at
fireworks, that's fine.
For people who are like worshiping the eyeballless dragon mask god that just showed up a few days ago, they sure aren't being like, the beam of light.
Yeah. They should start worshipping the Enterprise and that beam of the fire that came out of the sky. Before we get to the mission, they do acknowledge that Mbenga doesn't have to go on this mission because he's feeling responsible for Gamble's life, but he feels a pull to go on this mission, as does Batel. And I did think it was kind of interesting to have this conversation between Batel and Pike in, is it the gym where she's like punching a punch bag?
Yeah, they keep showing this space that we haven't seen before. It's the workout room.
Yeah,
everybody's in the workout room this season. Like they're dancing, they're punching.
But I did think it was interesting to have this conversation between them because Batel is concerned that she's feeling this like pull of fate and that she's supposed to be on this mission. She's meant to be here for a reason. And to pair that with Pike, who of anybody is the one that's going to understand not avoiding your inevitable fate as much as possible. So I liked that. Is that the scene where you started to see what was coming and what was happening in terms of Batel? No,
it was before. It was as soon as Batel was in the previously on. It was instant because, again, I try to like pull way back and like look at what the writers would try to do within a season, and like Batel's story is either going to end with her with these crazy superpowers in a judge position, or this battle thing that we've seen against, like with the Gorn versus whatever. This episode answers the question. It's not just that she's Gorn. It's that she's Gorn plus this, plus this, plus this, and that fucked with her DNA. But I know you want to get to that in a second. But getting all that information in the previously on sets you up to know what's going to happen. And since we watched the previously ons, it was like, yep, this is going to be a Batel thing. And since they're going to be answering the great evil question, she is going to be on this mission and probably die. So I knew that her story was leading to a sacrificial moment. But at the point when she's like, I need to be there, I wasn't quite sure what that looked like but of course, as soon as the Guardian was hit and then she got hurt, it's actually no. It was when they looked at when Mbenga was looking at the information on the pillar that opened up for him. And there was two symbols. There was the great evil guy with a mask on, and then against, what is her name? Okay, she like goes like Captain Marvel.
Oh,
I kept thinking of Captain Marvel the whole time.
Yeah. There you go. I can see that. Yeah, very vague powers that can do anything you want.
So it was interesting because like they're giving her this sort of out where she then, I didn't see that coming, where she was going to become this like being. But then of course, as soon as the slash comes across her head and she starts to glow and her eyes turn into stars and it matches the thing on the top on the portal, it all clicked for me. The portal image clicked for me because it looked feminine. It looked like it was starry eyes. And I thought, oh, she's this being. But what does this like actually mean? So watching it all play out, it was pretty obvious. The
faith stuff can be a little bit frustrating with Pike wanting to change his future, and we know he can't. But I thought it was a good pairing to have them together and talk about that.
Yeah, this is an example of like the writers knew probably from the start of the season what they were going to do in the final episode.
That sounds
and they've
right.
been hinting at like giving options here and there and sort of kind of piecing it together. Like we can't have Batel linger past a certain time. It doesn't make sense. Pike is really tied to her.
Yeah.
We need him to be kind of freed of that. We want this. We can't give Pike and Batel a good like old person dying together story. Like, what are we going to do? And someone said, well, what if she also has to make a great sacrifice as well?
I like this as a completion to her story. It just feels a little bit out of the blue. Like this last episode feels like a very rushed conclusion to her story. That scene where they're talking about everything and she's putting all of the pieces together. Wow. I felt stupid because I was like, you are connecting all of these dots that I've missed. And I knew they happened, but I wasn't connecting them all together into this. And I feel like she gets to that conclusion so quick. And maybe it's a timey-wimey thing where she knows cause and effect gets wonky. That's why she has all of the answers.
That scene where they're talking about all of the things that have happened to Batel, I think is the most I've ever been like, this is some sheer bullshit in Star Trek
I'm right with you.
To date. Like all of the engineering talk and Trek talk and ley lines and connections and stuff, like I can kind of like, I can get with that. But how quickly we're accepting that Batel is a predestined super being because fate outlined that she would be attacked by a Gorn, she would be saved with Illyrian blood, she would have to have this particular plant at a particular time, and all of the things that have to perfectly align for her body structure to turn her into something that can predate evil is too far for me. That's like D&D campaign shit. That's not Star Trek shit for me. And maybe merging the pools is fine. Like crossing the streams sometimes is really, really fun. But like pacted in this universe, I don't believe that they would leave this meeting going, yep, this is the plan.
It's one of those things where it feels like they're very much talking, instead of reasoning it out together, they're talking and justifying it to the audience. So they're explaining to the audience why this makes sense, instead of exploring the problem together. So as soon as, so Batel has the sparkly eyes, Chapel recognizes it, they compare the scan, and once they've said that Batel is the beholder, the creature that's on the Vesda prison planet, everything from then onwards is explaining why that's okay and why that makes sense. And
that even pissed me off because when they scanned that statue in the episode, they said it's alive. And then on this episode, they're like, don't know why we ever went back and scanned that again. Don't know why. Well, it's just like, I don't fucking believe that for a second.
It's the first time that they made a comparison. It's like, well, why would we compare it? I don't know. Isn't it an automatic thing? You put it into the ship's computer, you run an analysis, and the computer says, hey, by the way, this exactly matches her. Like, you shouldn't have to specifically scan for it. It's just the computer finds a pattern analysis.
You would not come back from a mission where something is alive and trapped and not go, let's look into that just a little bit more. Let's understand that just a little bit more. So that even pissed me off because I was thinking about like the child battery episode. You know, I guess sometimes you do just walk away from beings that are trapped as a battery and you're like, well, that was interesting.
I guess that's fine. The other element that, so obviously they rush through all of the explanation, but her being this okay with it this quickly, like I didn't buy any of that as well. And Pike has a little bit of resistance, but is then okay. But she's like, I haven't had a purpose. I didn't know whether I wanted to be a captain or a JAG officer or a counselor, or I didn't know which job that I wanted to have. But this job feels right. And that doesn't work for me for a couple of reasons. A, it's a super quick conclusion to come to. Putting aside cause and effect means that she's already accepted it. But the other element is it then makes her sacrifice almost, it kind of takes away from her sacrifice because she's so okay with it. She's like, this is great. This is my purpose. So there isn't really the sacrifice of being this being that has to watch over. So I kind of wanted a bit more reticence from her. And we get barely anything from Pike as well. Barely any kind of resistance to Battelle doing this and going ahead with this plan. So I don't know. All that entire scene was just rush, get through it, get to the conclusion as quickly as we can.
I feel like missing in between some of all the details being thrown at us and the information that we're trying to like assimilate and kind of absorb is this theme of two. It needs to be a combination of two. Two have to open the gate. Two have to go in. Two ships have to open the gate. Two people have to mind meld into one. There's this symmetry that they sort of have woven in this particular story, but I think it gets a bit lost, or maybe even you kind of have to stretch to get there.
Your point about duality is really interesting because it is throughout the episode, like pairs and twos and that power is everywhere throughout the episode. But they don't do anything with it. They don't explore it. Like there's nothing deeper than two ships, two phases, Kirk and Spock, two people to open the gate, Battelle and Pike. Like there's twos everywhere, but then it doesn't make that a bigger theme. It doesn't do anything more with it.
Or really try to explain why Mbenga was on the portal.
Well, yeah, let's get into that. So they get undercover to the planet. They Vulcan neck pinch their way to... Go on.
The fuck is that?
You can Vulcan neck pinch as a human. It was actually interesting because there has been like some humans aren't able to do it because it's very tricky and you can't get the muscle thing right. And I always wondered if it was only Vulcans that can do the neck pinch. And I know that's not true because Picard has done it. And I think Data has done it as well. So it isn't just for Vulcans, but there are some humans like McCoy who just can't get it right. And Kirk never gets it right as well. So I think it was interesting to have La'an was able to do it and Chapel can't do it. So it's like, it's not a given that anybody other than Spock can or can't do it.
I just feel like as a Vulcan, you should know better than to teach people how to do that.
It should be a closely guarded secret, yeah.
It kind of feels as though it's a secret Vulcan handshake. Yeah. Once you become friend enough, then they'll go ahead and party trick teach you one day. Like, okay, I've known you long enough. I can trust you.
If you ever need to get to sleep, just neck pinch yourself.
Crazy. So absolutely crazy. When she take him out at the knees. Like,
but why wouldn't you? If you know how to do it, why wouldn't you neck pinch them? I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if I was a battle warrior and I knew this special move, why wouldn't you do that? Because it's a quick way to down somebody for an indeterminate amount of time. But the little back and forth between La'an and Chapel was kind of fun.
It's adorable. I dig it. Yeah.
It was a little bit petty and I kind of loved it.
Yeah, I kind of love that. But anyway, they get to this monument tableau thing that has all of the pictures and whatnot on it. And what's interesting is that they see Swahili on this monument, obviously an Earth language, and it tells a story that I actually wrote down. And I thought this is where I was like, wow, this is really interesting. I wonder what we're going to do with this. A young boy was not yet a man, but the time had come to kill or be killed. A knife in his hands. And it's not just a parable. And Mbenga's like, no, that's my story about when I was 12 or 13. And he had to take a life to protect himself. And they're like, why is your story on this thing? And I was really hoping that this was going to be specific stories from everyone on the crew that is like present or has interacted with this thing at some point in time. Because you could also have stories that haven't happened yet. You could have used this as a bit of foreshadowing for another character, another adventure, like so much. But all it does is tell Mbenga that I need to look at this thing and it'll open up. Like,
It's another Destiny moment.
It's another Destiny moment, and it's also this like potential to be profound that is then over and done with immediately. Not going to explore that any deeper. No. This is going to be a superficial solve the puzzle problem, and then we're not going to talk about it anymore. And that sums up this entire episode.
It would have been more interesting if it would have been where the evil masky guy, what's his name? Gamble had gone on to the board and like put his own thing there, knowing Mbenga's history because they were once friends. And that would have caused them to believe that Mbenga should have gone into the portal. But for some reason, it only opened up for Mbenga. Other people were standing right in front of it. Yeah. So it seems like it was there for a reason, but that wasn't answered. And I thought he was going to die. And you were like, no, he can't. So he must live because I keep forgetting he's in the show.
Yeah, he's in the show later on. But he's not the chief medical officer of the Enterprise. He's there. It's interesting. But they jump through the portal because Gamble has been waiting for them. I mean, Destiny shit, right? How does it work?
He needed Mbenga to open the portal so he could go in there and free his brothers.
Yeah. They dive in. The next scene is kind of like them in the prison, and Mbenga figures out that Gamble will need him to escape. It needs him alive to escape. And Mbenga's such a badass. I love Mbenga so much. Like, problematic stuff aside, I really, really do enjoy his character. And he's like, oh, if I die, you can't get out of here. And I know it's because it's not going to happen, but he takes a knife out and he's just like, fuck it, I'll do it. And I believe he's going to do that. Like, he's that much of like, I think that zombie episode with the Klingons really cemented who Mbenga is for me. And yes, that might be casual killer and problematic, but it's also do what needs to be done. He's a doctor that really will take the extreme actions. And he's like, yeah, I'll stab myself in the throat right now. Like, if we were sinning it for like cinema sins, it would be, why didn't you just kill yourself? Like, jump off the edge, because you know that's going to save the galaxy. And he does. So I kind of love that. Did you buy that moment?
Well, yeah, except for knowing that he survived, because I was like, Mbenga's dying, and you're like, no, he's not. So there wasn't really a lot of risk there for me, but I didn't know how it was going to pay off. I thought they were going to tussle. I thought they were going to fight, and then where we were going to have Batel show up pretty quickly. Like, they talked about those ley lines and being able to get to places pretty fast. So I didn't know if there was going to be a way for like at that point, I thought the Enterprise might be able to put somebody in the pattern buffer and beam them into the ley line, and they would just zip around.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I thought was gonna happen. But instead, Mbenga sort of pushes him into another door where something is happening on the other side, and we're just kind of waiting for Batel and Pike to show up. So, I think the tension of that moment was immediately just.
Yeah, it goes from super tense to Gamble prevents him from doing it, and the kerfuffle means that they end up in different dimensional rooms, which gives the Enterprise enough time to show up. This is where the episode feels so segmented, because this entire like 10-minute scene is Pike and Batel are at the monument. They work out that they need a huge amount of power to get through. Again, why not make it that Batel can open the thing? Like, I just, it's so baffling to me. And the only reason I can think is that we need some Starship sci-fi action in this portion of the episode to work out the pacing, to give us a bit of what fans love. And to be fair, like, I love this portion, but it is so out of place in this episode.
I just feel like it's deeper. I think they're trying to put Spock and Kirk in a more unified position for later. I feel like the writers need them to have a connection now to do something later, and it had to happen in this episode. So they needed to come up with a reason to really unify them as one. I really did enjoy watching the mind meld and their interactions with each other and this like budding friendship. It's a bit lost because the end of the world is like biting at their heels, and we have this other dominant story of Pike and Batel kind of happening. So to me, their friendship start, their melding start, their as one start, it got a little bit like, it either got lost during the Batel Pike stuff or after the Batel Pike stuff, and then they're like talking, in the bar. it felt like a little bit like a, don't be sad about Patel, look over here, we've got new stuff. And I think that's what the show was trying to do is go, there's the end of some things and the beginning of others, and we're all together, and it's just part of the beauty of life, and we're all going to be moving on somehow together. And so we needed to have like a little hope and happiness, and so they put that into Spock, Kirk, and the rest of the crew that we're sort of like seeing at the very, very end. But I don't know. Like I said, I think it could have been done in a different episode potentially.
The more I think about it, and this might have some disagreements, but I think this actually justifies a 2-part episode.
I was thinking the same.
And I don't mean like season 3, episode 10 and season 4, episode 1. I mean season 3, episode 9 and 10. Like, and then you can break down the Enterprise Farragut stuff, relational Kirk and Spock bit a little bit more. You can do the Pike and Patel stuff a bit more. You don't even need a big cliffhanger. Just spread this out a little bit more and give each element of the adventure more time to breathe. I don't even think you need to change too much about the structure. Just give us more in each area. Because Kirk being okay with it, the mind meld, super fast to accept it, the execution of the plan, any risk that there is about the phasers vaporizing the planet, did not feel for a second. No. I don't feel any of that tension.
Me either.
At all. And it's just giving lip service to this. Yeah. We need a technical thing that's going to be risky unless we do it manually, and it's perfect. And it's cool, lip service it all you want, but could you give me some depth?
That I think is why when I say I liked it, there was the fast pacedness asks me to believe that these ships that are run by these people are willing to risk an entire planet of a non-warp civilization to open a portal.
Didn't consult them. No, like, kind of talking to Starfleet about this that we can see.
If everybody's not in big fucking trouble next, something is. Yeah. It's like it is the Wild West vibe we were talking about before. We're in the cowboy era.
They can just fuck off a planet if they want.
I have to go, this is why this is happening, right? That we are not, no one's getting in trouble. Uhura, not in trouble for what she did last episode in this one either. So yeah, this definitely felt like it could have been a little bit more. I think I would have taken it more seriously if it would have been a 2-parter, because we could have sat inside of some of these moments. I'm not talking about necessarily the emotional Patel Pike stuff, because I don't like sitting inside of the romance emotional stuff in general. I'm talking about more the critical decision making to risk this versus that in so many different ways. Risk your mind in a mind meld, risk a planet of people, risk this evil civilization. Tell me more about this evil civilization. They're asking us to believe that there is a race that is pure evil, predating everything else. Like, they don't even like do any kind of like, can we just take a minute and see if Patel is okay? Like, we're running along beside all of these choices at the end going, God, I hope everybody's okay at the end. You know, I guess if we just have to sacrifice Patel, it's no big deal, you know.
It's interesting to live life on the starship in that opening scene where we have the dinner, and I'm like, oh, this is life on the starship. I get it. Every scene that follows, I don't believe these are people living life. And I don't believe these are people asking enough questions, talking about it enough. I'm suddenly in an episode. And I'm just like, you just need to get through this and you want something flashy to do. So while I like the components, it's like, you know what it is? It's a buffet dinner thing. It's the world buffet where I get to have all of my different favorite foods, but the most superficial, quickly prepared food that I can have. So I can have a cheeseburger here, I can have a chow mein here, I can have a curry here, but it's going to be a dead basic version of each of those things. And that's what this episode is to me. It's all of the different elements of Star Trek at the most superficial level. So it's why I'm like, there's elements of me that enjoys this.
Yeah.
But I would like each one if they were fleshed out a lot more.
That's a good way of putting it. Like, would you rather have the cheapest made pasta or something that was like infused with a little bit of cheese? And would you like to have just a basic steak with no seasoning? Or would you rather have like something that has been marinated for a while?
And that's what I meant at the top of the episode when I said that I am happy they actually went this direction. I'm happy they did it because it shows a really good understanding of the DNA of Star Trek and what makes it. But that execution again is so far away from what I want it to be.
Let's talk a little bit about what happens when Batel and Pike get into this moment. So there's a standoff between Battelle and
Gamble
that we're all expecting to have happen.
Oh yeah.
It's very like wizard versus wizard-esque, Captain Marvel versus, I don't know, evil Doctor Strange or something.
Harry Potter versus Voldemort, because you just have exactly the same powers. One is bright light, one is black and smoky. And
in this case, I don't know if it's because there has been time for this evil being to take over Gamble, but he is able to shoot powers out of his hand and do these things that I don't remember him being able to do before, but maybe he did and I just forgot it. I don't know. He did reach through a barrier and choke somebody out, so he's obviously got abilities as this
ill-defined abilities. It's evil. Evil has power.
So he's got like glowy hands and shit. And we think we're going to go into a face-off, and then all of a sudden, poof, we are in a alternate sort of like mental dimension.
Yeah.
And I really want to talk about that. But my first thing that I thought of that I want to land on, and I wish we could just stop and do like a little bit of research to figure this out, is I seem to remember that the first time that we saw Pike and Battelle, they were in this cabin and they were like hanging out and they were having a very similar conversation. Like there was a knock at the door. Yes, there was like a knock at the door kind of a thing. And I'm like, oh, we're watching that scene again because maybe they telegraphed something in season 1 that they planned for now,
No.
But no, it's not. That's not it actually at all. Although the vibe is very similar. There was such a similarity though in that scene, and I want to go back and kind of watch it because I feel like they've done something very purposeful, and it felt very much like a deja vu. Did you feel deja vu at all? Or
no, I remember that I recently rewatched that episode, so I remember it pretty well. And
just watched it recently?
I say recently, a couple of months back.
That's pretty recent. So you had a good solid memory of it. It's been since we watched it together that I've seen it.
I remembered it. Like I'm really impressed that that scene does happen, but it's a different framing to it. But there are similarities. It'd be interesting to know how deliberate it was. But that scene is Battelle and Pike are having some time together, and Pike is taking a break from Starfleet,
right?
Because he's off the back of discovering, hey, if I stay in Starfleet, this is what's going to happen to me. So he's got the long hair and the beard.
Okay.
And Admiral April is the one that
comes to him,
knocks on the door by turning up in a shuttle and says, we need you back in Starfleet. The Enterprise is ready.
Right.
We need you back. But there is this Battelle and Pike conversation where Battelle is trying to encourage him to embrace his destiny. And I think when he says there's a wise woman that once told me that thing, it's from that scene. Yeah, I think.
It's so interesting that I felt like, oh, this is the same thing that I watched. And you were so confident, like, no. And I'm like, I was just really familiar. So good job, show, for putting something memorable in the old noggin that forgets things so much.
But they are talking about not being afraid of the future, and you can't just like hide in your cabin. And I think Battelle had some undertones of this relationship isn't going to work unless you get out of your hole and start living life.
Which is kind of what happens in this moment, isn't it?
Exactly. That's what happens.
But we got to really go through a lot. And this is why, this is another reason why, rather, I wish this was a 2-parter. Because...
Agreed. Yeah.
But I thought it was really, really cool, too, because all of a sudden the episode just like... And then we're just watching something completely new. And it's pretty evident quickly like what they're going to be doing.
I like that they let us put the pieces together ourselves. Like that was actually pretty good.
And I also like the twist where he comes home and he's whole and he's well. And it's not just that we're seeing them get to have more time together, but they're surprised at their time together.
It's the ideal version of their life.
Yeah. And so they're shocked and they're excited and they're happy to be living together. And I thought it was a brave thing for the episode to do for so many reasons, because it took the momentum and it just completely stopped it and went into this very deeply emotional space where they're giving their characters something that they know they won't actually have in the true timeline. This is a live inside their brain forever reality.
Yeah.
This is
fuel for Battelle.
Yeah, it fuels Battelle, gives her the confidence to do what she knows she has to do.
I think the literal juice
forever
to do it
fucks
as
Pike.
Well. Yeah.
But it is like the flute episode with Picard, right?
The Inner Light. Yep, exactly.
Oh, you said that earlier.
There we go.
Bing, bing, bing. ding! Look at it all coming around.
The entire episode is him living an entire life. So this probe, its goal is to preserve the memory of an entire species. And it does that by making somebody live an entire, or from middle-aged onwards, life of a person on the planet who witnesses the destruction of the planet and whatnot. So Picard lives about 40 years or something in the space of 30 seconds.
It's really intense and it's heartbreaking, and it's something like, the other thing I like about it too is it gives us, the audience, and something that we can actually look back on and go, this was real for them. Like, they get to think about this thing for the rest of their life. But Pike, dude, like, it just gets so bad for Pike. And apparently Spock too, but I don't want to talk about that because I don't want to cry. But like, Pike not only has this fucked future, but it's without Batel. And there's this beautiful, like, so many beautiful moments in those flash forwards or flash sideways kind of alternate reality situations. But like the comet, Batel saying that I'll always be waiting for you in the stars, that kind of stuff, I think can carry the audience that feels the pain and like feels the emotional trauma that we've just been exposed to. We get to kind of watch Pike go through what Pike is about to go through, going, man, at least he had that.
At least he had that 50 years together.
Yeah. And we got to see some like cool stuff. But again, the show is brave to show it to us, to give us that many back-to-back time jumps with the really, really powerful knock at the door. Like, what a cool thing. What does that mean to you? Like, is this something that happened in episode 1? Was there a knock at the door? Was that April's knock at the door? Or is that just like the symbolic interruption?
No, that's the symbolic nature of fate knocking at the door, time knocking at the door, like that. That really worked for me. It's obvious. Like, as soon as the first knock happened, I was like, that's the future waiting. Like, that is the impending gamble, obviously, at the door, the impending return to reality that's there. And I like it as a device, even though it's an obvious one. I liked it as a through thread because it is anxiety inducing. Like, it is really eerie. And I love the repeated refrain of come back to me. Pike says it to Patel says it to Pike, just stay with me. Like, don't answer the door yet. Let's experience our life. But it's always there in the back of their mind. Like, they know it's not real. They know it's not 100% true. And that knock is that constant reminder.
Yeah. I think that they know it's not true at different times, but then they opt to keep going. And we get to see this, obviously, time progression through, makeup and children getting older, puppies becoming, dogs or full-grown doggos, and all this is really like beautifully visual helping us. But even how it's written, just the things that they're saying to each other, we always knew this, and they acted their hearts out in that scene. And it's just so well done. That is if there is a reason to love this episode, for me, that was it. Like, that really made, I think, the characters and their arcs okay, because we get to kind of like have a little happy moment. And that's just a silly part of storytelling. Like, we all want to have little happy bows on everything, and we don't want our favorite characters to suffer. But when we know that it's coming, it makes everything like this even better, I think.
I'm conflicted because a trillion, million, bajillion, infinity% prefer this to zappy, fire at each other, and then deal with the way it could have gone. The quote-unquote lazy route would be deal with Gamble, and then Pike and Batel have a moment together where she chooses to step onto the platform. She does what she needs to do. They say, I will always love you, goodbye. Like, they have their moment there. I really respect and love the hard shift into alternate life. But again, it falls into the lip service category for me because it's so much like Inner Light, and that comparison has to be deliberate. Like, the writers knew exactly what they were doing by inner lighting themselves, but I can't in my brain imagine why I would experience this instead of watching the Inner Light again. Because for me, the emotional moments, I didn't connect to them as much. I didn't connect to Anson Mount being emotional. He has incredible charisma. When it comes down to emotional, deep sadness and stuff like that, I don't get it from him. I don't connect in that way. I connected to Batel and what she was trying to doing. I wish I could remember their actor's actual name. But Picard's sadness and Picard's emotion throughout the episode, and him coming to terms with what he just went through, that hits me so much harder. So I can't help but directly compare it to one. I think it might be the only episode of TNG that won a Saturn Award or a Nebula Award. Like, it is an award-winning episode because that story is so beautifully well executed. This is a 10-minute wrap-up explanation for how we complete this arc.
This is a story in a story.
For me, it pales in comparison to what has already been done by Star Trek with that conceit. But I'm glad they did that rather than a generic finale.
There was a moment when we had shifted into this reality and Pike comes back from his mission and he's still alive and they're surprised and she's explaining that she had, in this battle, she had ripped open space-time and to fight this entity, because they're talking about that fight in a past tense. And I thought, oh my God, this is so interesting. Like, maybe season 4 is going to be that they have now lived in this alternate reality and they have to go back and get back on the actual true timeline again because she fucked it up. She wanted to survive so much. She wanted to love so much. She has like taken everybody with her in this new reality so that she can avoid the fight.
I love that they address that.
Have that moment.
I love that Pike is like, no, I'm happy to be alive, but also shit, I've seen what happens when I don't die. Like, I've already seen that future and it's really fucking bad because there's a nasty war with the Romulans, and like, I was at peace with this. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to die because it's better than the alternative. So yeah, I'm glad they addressed it, and it could have gone that way.
Me too. And they also had the moment where she had the sacrificial conversation when they were on the ship, and she was like, hey, turns out I'm this being, I'm ready to go for it. And everyone had to accept in that moment. She knew she was going to step on that platform and sacrifice. So the show knew they didn't need to have that scene. They didn't need to have the moment where there's a big fight and then Pike and her embrace and then she gets on the pedestal. It was a really cool moment. For me, it worked. You pause right there. You have this alternate reality, and then he opens the door and it's right back into it. And he's just absolutely gut punched from it. I understand what you're saying about the acting not working for you. For me, it did work because I felt so bad for him. Like, he had just had, like, Ortegas got mind fucked last episode. He is really going to be reeling from this one because he had all that time with her for real. Then he had all that time with her in his imagination. And then it's just instantly over because the fight between Batel and Gamble was super fast and over, and thank God, because I didn't want to see it anymore.
Glad. Yeah, it didn't need to be long.
The pacing worked for me. Let's just be on. Let's be done and kind of move on and whatever this is gonna wrap up into.
I do like the poetry of that, giving her enough light to beat the darkness, and that's the fuel. Experiencing that light, that love, that is what I needed, because we are in Magic Cuckoo Land. Like, this is primordial beginning of the universe. Light versus dark shit. So however it's powered, whatever, fine, move on. That's great. So I liked that conclusion. I think it might be the Pike bit that I'm just not buying as much. Like,
that's okay.
When he returns and he's like confused, I'm just like, we need more. Like, you need more than that. Like, you just experienced 40 years of like your kids and a dog and a career and life and adventures, and now you're back in the room where you just were. I need more time to let that sink in and to give it the weight it deserves. Like,
well, Pike's had enough stood trauma. There. Like, he had nothing. There was nothing. Like, what would you do? You would just stand there stunned, and then. No,
I just mean the episode needs to give it more time. Like, he reacted the only way he could because they're still in danger, but we need more time to deal with it. This needs another episode where he's more coming to terms with it, as if he doesn't have enough to come to terms with already. But
I'm glad we didn't.
For me.
But I think your point that you're saying is like TNG, like in Picard's episode, they gave him an entire episode to process and to really sit inside of it, and this episode moves through it a little bit too fast so that you don't feel the same way.
I don't feel totally the weight. Like, I get what it's trying to do, and these. It's definitely trying to give me some emotions, and I'm just trying to process why those emotions didn't happen in the same way that they have, before. I'm also thinking about, there's an episode of The Last of Us from season 1, which is a bottle episode that follows the life of two survivors, and they find each other, they kind of live a bit of a life together, and then tragedy happens, and it's a beautiful bottle episode about how they live together through this disaster and what they have to say goodbye to. And it's absolutely like, and that made me bawl my eyes out. And this is a little bit of that. And I think it's the little bit that's the problem. I don't think it was quite brave enough.
I would like to see more, but I don't want that emotional destruction in my life. So maybe I'm glad that I got to have the little sample platter of life, you know. So, but I thought it was really well acted. I believe that they were living out all those years together, and we were just kind of like coming in and at certain moments and being reminded that, and being there as they are being reminded that it wasn't real. And that's just, it was very, very heartbreaking.
I will say I love Uncle Sock, and I think that should come back at some point.
No, that was really
Uncle
cute.
Sock is adorable. Again, I don't want to beat up on it too much because I feel hypocritical, because I'd rather this finale than zappy superpowers, meaningless battle thing. Yeah. I like this. I think as a two-parter, we could get so much more of it, and we can play with this idea a lot more.
But just quickly to go back to Sock, to take your beautiful point and then just go back for a second, the Sock thing, it made me think of Iris calling Spock Spark.
Spark.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really sweet.
I'm going to call him Spark.
Yeah, the fact that we wanted to spend so much time talking about that particular part says a lot. And
agreed, yeah.
Yeah, so then we're kind of done with the fight pretty quickly. Thank God it's over now.
Yeah, we wrap up the episode.
And now it's like the little wrap up of everybody's little vignettes, right?
Yeah, the main thing is Corby and Chapel having their little chin wag that it's always going to be hard, and we have some future knowledge from TOS about how hard that actually gets.
Yeah, I mean, he literally is just like, hey, yeah, I can't hang out with you. I've got more important things to do. Also, here's some research about some uncharted territory. Can you get on that for me?
Yeah, absolutely fair. Someone's got to explore it.
Turns her into his assistant. I really enjoy the acting in that moment from the person who plays Chapel. And again, I'm sorry, I don't know those things, but like
Jess Bush. That's what I remember for some reason.
You could just read a lot in her face about how her character is feeling, and I really appreciated that. And then we have Spock and La'an, which I loved this moment because they're like clearly meditating together, but she's like peeking at him.
Yeah.
And then he kind of peeks also and just has the slightest little grin. Like, super cute. It is microscopic. Yeah. But I liked that a lot as well.
But we also have Kirk and Spock playing chess.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the crux of it. I think we will still be friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if we don't work together just yet. There's a lot of nodding to the future and stuff. And it's a bit too much for me. Like, I know they're going to be friends. I don't necessarily need every second of how they got there. It was a little bit on the nose for me. And again, it's why the mind meld isn't super necessary for me. If it's supposed to inform why they're so close on the Enterprise, I know when we get to TOS, I know we're not joining them at the start of their friendship together. I know there's a few years or whatever that we've missed. So I know that stuff happened then, and I don't necessarily need to see it in Strange New Worlds. So yeah, it was an interesting thing to focus on.
I want to see it so bad.
It's an interesting thing to focus on in what is already a packed episode.
That's the part that bothers me.
I want to see it. I don't want to see it in Strange New Worlds. That's what I'm getting at.
No. I want to see it in Strange New Worlds because when else am I going to see it?
In the next series, the one where Kirk is actually in charge.
Nah. No. I think it totally makes sense to have some introductions sprinkled in here or there.
So this isn't sprinkling. This is a dollop.
That is
dolloping.
We're
Kirk.
not dollop.
Okay,
I think today's was a dollop.
I'll agree with that. This season has been a dollop.
Today felt very dollopy, but I feel like it also is a sprinkling is happening.
Get off my shit.
I outrank you.
Yeah, you do. No, I wasn't even talking to you. I meant Kirk, get off my shit.
I thought you were telling me to leave the Derper Prize.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. I don't know. It doesn't bug me too much, but it's because it's at the cost of something else. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I agree. We're seeing their best. I literally cannot imagine the complicated conversations around the writer's table of the people who are writing these stories, the studios that are demanding certain things be done, the time limit on creating it, the cost of putting it all together, and trying to make everyone happy, especially the fans. It cannot be easy. So at the end of an episode like this, I'm like, that was really fun to watch. It was a lot, and maybe there's some things that's missing because it was a lot, but that episode hit pretty hard. That hit hard. That was a good send off, I think, to the series.
Yeah, I know. I don't disagree. I do like it better than some things they could have done.
I think that it would hit differently if they had thought more about some of the other episodes. Like, there was a question in the chat, like if you had to lose one episode, what one would it be? Like, if we could have had a 2-parter here that would have hit better, which one would we have sacrificed to get here?
Wedding Bell Blues.
Yeah, 100%.
Episode 2. I think it's so...
That was done. That was quick.
Yeah, so inconsequential. I think that's the one I would lose. Although there's probably one I'm forgetting that would be a better candidate. 4.5 Vulcans.
Oh, yeah. I was really surprised, just to hit back on that. No, we'll talk about the recap episode. Never mind.
All right, Ambassador, give us some pips.
I'm going to go 4 pips.
Nice. You love the heck out of it. That's really cool.
No, I loved it.
That's great.
I enjoyed it. I think it was a very... For what they were trying to do and all that they were attempting to accomplish, I think it could have been a disaster, but they actually managed to pull it off.
I agree,
and do a bunch inside of it. And I feel like it was an important episode. It needed to do the things it needed to do. And I predicted it all happening, which means I felt like a very intentional episode and not like a little, what if we do this episode? So
that's an interesting point. The fact that it had a predictive nature to it means that there were convincing seeds and set up for it. I get it. I am surprisingly going to be at 3 pips. I know I sounded like I was much more down on it, but even the misses, I like big swings better than playing it safe. So I respect a big swing. And like I said, I love the components. I love that we barely talked about the Farragut stuff and how that's right up my alley. The Farragut and the Enterprise going bottom to bottom and actually seeing a phaser beam that is a beam and not a torpedoes. There is a difference. The consistent phaser beam was really, really cool. Like, logic aside, I really, really enjoy that scene and that set piece. All of the components of this, I really enjoy. It just doesn't cohese together for me completely. But I would much prefer this than a generic good versus evil fight. I love that they took some risks with it. So yeah, I do appreciate that. So yeah, 3 pips from me. I do have one final thought. Of course. Do you remember that time that Pelia time traveled with a doctor? What are we doing?
Oh, let's not spend too much time because we have talked about this so much about the frustrations. But the fact that she said that, I was like, what just happened? And you were like, what are we doing? But someone in the chat, Lloydie, asked, could it be Doc Brown and not Doctor Who?
I mean, that's somehow worse.
Is it?
Okay.
You literally have a Back to the Future poster behind your head right now.
Yeah,
would you prefer,
I love Doctor Who.
Which one would you prefer?
Doctor Who makes more sense completely because Back to the Future is a movie that Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I don't know. I think Pelia and the Doctor from Back to the Future would make a really great couple.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Doc Brown, right? Like, can you imagine it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just absolutely fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention it because this is one of the things I was actually spoiled on. So because I read an article that was talking to the showrunners and it mentioned specifically, what are you doing with Doctor Who? Like, what...
Because it's come up twice now.
It's come up twice. And so I got the quote from Pelia. And from the interview, what I got was a very coy, yeah, we know we did a thing. And they outright asked, are you doing a crossover? What's going on behind the scenes? Why are you doing it? And they basically said that we've been talking about a crossover for a long, long time. And if it was just up to us and Russell T Davies, the showrunner for Doctor Who, it would absolutely have happened at some point. But it's different studios, it's different companies, it's different businesses. There is
different IPs.
Different IPs. There is far too much to make it happen. So all it's going to be is fun nods and a note of respect to each other that isn't going to go anywhere else. We both respect each other's content. We would want to do it, but there's no way it's actually going to happen. So, and I like that. I'm glad they acknowledged it. I'm glad they're actually owning it, obviously, and I'm fine with that. Okay, cool. Go ahead. That's do your little nods and whatnot. That's okay. It actually gave me a bit of closure and a bit of peace. If I know that it's never going to happen, I can actually accept it a little bit more. It's the dangling of, are you building to something, that I kind of bugs me a little bit.
Yeah, I think so sometimes in my job, I will like put in little Easter eggs to like other IP that I really like.
Yeah.
And I secretly hope that they watch it and that they're like, oh my God, somebody likes me over there.
Yeah.
But if it's distracting, like if somebody watches the content and it's distracting and they're just constantly wondering like, well, what does that mean? Then it kind of like, maybe it takes away from it.
Yeah.
And I think that this might take away from it. Although I don't mind it as much as somebody who watches Doctor Who maybe would, because I don't understand about what it's breaking to make that happen.
Yeah.
But it does feel like, stop it. Like we've seen the box, and now you've mentioned Doctor Who, Time Traveler, or whatever Pelia did. And I think that they should stop now.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I appreciate it more now that I feel like that interview helped me get in on the joke. So yeah, it's interesting. Okay, with that, let's head over. Where do you want to go to do the emails, Ambassador?
Oh, let's go to the sad chair. Let's get drunk and look at a fire in Captain's quarters.
Oh.
Let's go there. Let's have the apron open on the counter, indicating that it was all a dream, and just be sad for a minute together.
Let's go to the Captain's quarters and be sad.
Yeah, with alcohol though.
With
Don't forget that part. It's very important.
Sorry and brandy for me. Okay, hailing frequencies open, everyone. It's time for us to read your messages from Discord, Twitch, YouTube, and, well, email. And we are going to go straight into Commodore Dicer's thoughts. He couldn't be here, but he has sent me an email in his usual Commodore Dicer fashion. First, the good stuff, and jump in whenever you want, Deneé, if you want to bounce off any of his thoughts. First, the good stuff. Show remains very pretty. On to the rest. Oh no. Stop the Doctor Who references unless Carol Kane shows up as a companion next season of Doctor Who. Just stop. And was Batel regenerating? Stop it! Now, this is a valid point that I forgot. I could not get out of my brain how much it looked like Batel was doing a Doctor Who regeneration. Because when the Doctor... I don't know what that means. I'm about to explain it.
Oh, okay.
When the Doctor regenerates, their hands glow gold. And then the kind of the body glows. And then there's this burst of energy and they regenerate into their next version. There's even a whistling that happens. And when Batel got the glowy hands, there was this little whistle. And I'm like, is that an homage? Like, what are you doing here? Like,
of course it's an homage.
It felt so much like a regeneration. It was so interesting.
It's kind of like, okay, we're going to do this one more time. We're going to do one more reference episode, and we're going to make it really obvious for the people who watch this show and blah, blah, blah. But I wouldn't have caught that because I don't watch.
Oh, of course not. No, of course not. He continues, really hammering home the Kirk and Spock stuff, huh? Nothing else you want to spend that time on with this episode. And I haven't read his email before now. This is blind. Maybe flesh out the mystical magic part of the franchise that has all of a sudden gone full Harry Potter and the Enterprise of Secrets.
Yep. We're
having some similar, and it does make me feel a bit better. Like, I hate being critical of Star Trek. I really, really do. But it's reassuring when I'm not on an island. Corby reveals, I guess if you're a Trekkie, you already know. But if there's one thing that can make a love triangle cliche even worse, it's adding the secretly a terrible person cliche on top of it. Oh, does he think that Corby's a terrible person now?
I mean, Corby seems to be in line with Corby. He's very self-centered. And there's been talk that we've had about him being on like this immortality hunt thing, like really drives him. So I don't know what that reference is. I've heard you kind of like reference that it's something, that's a part of his character.
Yeah.
But they're definitely staying true to that here in these early seasons, so that we know that's just been part of his story I appreciate that.
That will be an interesting episode to watch now that you've got some interesting Corby knowledge. The interminably long and obvious life not lived cliche is sweet and all, but first, it's been done a million times before, and second, it takes way too long in an episode that was already struggling to find its own tension and plot development. And third, it was poorly executed with kids and marriages we don't know or care about and terrible old age makeup. Oh, and did I mention yet how long and obvious and interminable it was? As soon as As soon as it cut to them having coffee, I could have driven to the new 7 Brew being built in town, waited for them to complete construction, ordered a coffee for Jen, because he won't drink one, and brought it home to her, and I would have missed nothing. He's definitely on the extreme end of the spectrum, but I don't completely disagree with his feelings and sentiments there. Finally, and this is the most important, everything about the setup to this finale would have been better if it were a self-contained story. You can do big, weird things. Trek has a lot of this, but they work better when they are this one-off journey into something weird or big that you can love or leave behind. Shows now think they have to plant all of these stupid seeds that pay off later, when it only makes the payoff feel completely anticlimactic. The beauty of episodic television used to be, what complete adventure with my friends will my friends get into this week? Now it feels like everything means something until it actually doesn't, because it's resolved so quickly and half-heartedly. I actually think it sounds brutal, but that's a good summary of why it doesn't hit for me as well. Like the seeds that were planted earlier in the season, they don't feel like a satisfying payoff right now. It's just, excusing how wild this is. I don't need an excuse for this to be wild. Star Trek has done wild things so often. If you keep it in one episode, you can be like, yep, that happened. Bye now. Just move on. But when you feel the need to justify it by spreading seeds in the earlier episodes, you're making it a really core element of the season and the show. So yeah, I get it. His overall thoughts, a pretty terrible season for me overall, and it will continue to be a show that is annoying and occasionally fun for me because there is zero chance they'll finish it by doing a bunch of adventures of the week. It's going to be all set up and lame payoff, and I'm dreading it. I hope he's wrong there. I hope he is super wrong. And the feedback overall for this season has been super duper mixed, and I do believe that they're going to listen to it and maybe do something different, especially now that they know that the end is near. Maybe they have more freedom to be episodic and say, screw you, we have 16 episodes left. We're going to, they've already filmed 10 of them. Whatever. Maybe they're going to have a bit more freedom to do what they want. Ambassador, any messages?
I have a couple of things that were saved. Well, I've got many things that were saved, but one thing that came up a couple of times was about the mind meld. So this is from Emmanuel, and then I'm going to read one from Slab.
Do it.
Emmanuel on YouTube says, speaking of the mind meld, wouldn't it make more sense for Spock to meld with the Vulcan captain instead of Kirk?
Great point.
God, we constantly have to shoehorn Kirk into this show. And then
it
similarly, Slab said, if they needed to mind meld to do the dancing ships, why didn't they use the Vulcan captain?
Very interesting point. I mean, I guess they've bonded more. But you'd always think a Vulcan would be more compatible.
I think that the show would say that they did that because Kirk was more reckless. And so Spock manipulated the situation by going to the person that was the most easily manipulated to do something.
Yeah.
And so I think they used Kirk essentially to push their idea. And maybe the Vulcan captain would have been more averse to it. Although she does go along with it when Kirk comes back with the plan. So it doesn't make much sense.
Spock does say, I've seen you take risks that others wouldn't. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe the Vulcan captain would have been too resistant. So
it seems like the show is like, well, we're going to not go have a Vulcan versus Vulcan conversation, which would be long and drawn out in an episode that's already doing too much. So we're going to throw it to Kirk and then just skip over the rest of it.
Well, I have a message from Flyboy. He says, the vibes overall in a light, of course, the end of the motion picture, Decker transcending his humanity as the resolution, and a lot of Stargate SG-1. Are the Vesda just non-corporeal Ooh, very good point. I can see that. Are the ley lines just Star Trek's Stargate network? Wow, I wonder if that would lead to a Star Wars of some sort. As much as I've said I want a Who Trek crossover, I never wanted one that was canon either. I just wanted them to have some fun together in what Silver Age DC used to call an imaginary story. That's fun. As much as I love Carol Kane and as much as I loved Pelia at first, she's beginning to grate on me. Am I alone? No, I'm still loving Pelia. How about you, Ambassador? Still loving Pelia the engineer?
No.
Yeah, great on you.
No, what I do like about her is it seems like she's really imparting wisdom into Scotty. In fact, in the very end cards, when they're kind of going through the crew, there was one of Pelia and Scotty looking at like a device together.
Yes,
so
yeah.
I really think that she's doing some imparted wisdom that needs to be kind of done. But usually whatever she has to say isn't something that I'm like leaning into.
No.
I'm kind of checking out of a little bit.
Yeah, no, I hear it. I didn't need Spock mind meld to show the foundation of their friendship. I would have trusted Paul Wesley and Ethan Peck to give us that. That's where I'm at. I don't need the mind meld to buy this. Even though it's an obvious inner light segment, I loved seeing Pike and Patel's possible future. Anson Mount and Melanie Scorfano are perfect together. Live long and prosper. Jim Flyboy.
But I'll go back to the Spock mind meld thing, because then Slab points out if they need to show anyone bonding, it should be Pike and Spock. Spock risked the death penalty to help Pike in TOS.
I completely agree. I actually need more Pike and Spock bonding. Yeah.
Maybe that's going to happen in seasons 4 and 5, though.
Yeah. I think that's a really, really, really valid point.
And I wonder what's going to happen to Pike in the coming seasons now that Patel isn't really an option for him to have a safe haven in the future. Like, he knows he's going to be alone in that way. Maybe he'll meet somebody new, but I don't think that he would be rebonding with someone knowing that his fate is already kind of sealed.
No, I think they were wise to wrap up the Patel stuff while there's still time between now and where we know he ends up. Wandering says, and this episode kind of undercuts the menagerie with his ending, and I also don't understand the reference to that. So do you want to talk about that a little bit? I don't, because I actually want you to watch the menagerie. So I don't want to spoil that for you. But yeah, there are interesting mirrors where Pike in that episode should be like, this seems to have happened before. He should be acknowledging it. Yeah, completely get it. Yeah, that's interesting. It's going to be so interesting to watch some TOS episodes that this is linking into. And I wonder if 20 years from now, we may view it more kindly. Final message from, this was actually a thought that I think Sci-Fi Brony and Both Wondering both shared, was that this kind of almost felt like a series finale rather than a season finale. Like, this could have almost been how Strange New Worlds ended completely, and maybe they didn't know that they had a season 4 in the bag when they ended this.
I mean, it's entirely possible, and it would have been a very fine ending. Wouldn't it?
Steve L said that as well. And I think so as well. I think it's a little bit melancholy. A little bit, because Pike is very, very sad at the end of this. But I could see it. I can absolutely see it. Okay, everybody. Well, that is it for Strange New Worlds. A quick update about what's coming next. We're going to have a couple of guest interviews where we're going to dive into one of their favorite episodes of Star Trek. After that, the plan is going to be a new theme which has been created by you, the fans, called What the Fun? So WTF Star Trek.
I wanted to call it What the Fuck.
As a spoiler, we will be hitting some of the episodes that you've absolutely been asking us to hit.
Is one of them that was mentioned last episode, because there was a whole uproar about it being something about a Vix.
Two Vix will absolutely be an episode that we're covering in the next season of Captain's Pod.
I don't know what's happening.
Two Vix, Spock's brain. Then there's going to be Threshold will absolutely be coming up. Voyager has some of these absolute corkers, and it's going to be fun. But yeah, that's kind of what's coming up next for Captain's Pod. Hey, get in touch with the show. Email us, ian@iananddeneé.com for your episode suggestions for What the Fun and anything you want to talk about. Go to our Discord. The link for that is in the description because it's complicated. Go to Patreon, patreon.com/iananddeneé. Subscribe for general updates, or throw us $3 a month and you get early access to Captain's Pod, an ad-free version of Captain's Pod, and some interesting ways to interact with us in the future. Helps us kind of maintain the bandwidth of creating content for you.
What about those who want to watch the episode before next week, or watch, know what we're watching? We can maybe, are we telling them what episode we're going to be doing with the guest?
Yeah. Well, I can actually tell you what the next episode is. The next episode we'll be covering with our first guest is The Day of the Dove. This is a TOS episode, and David from the Lorehounds is going to be joining us. This is one of his all-time favorite episodes. So that's what we will be covering next week. So next week's homework is The Day of the Dove. And until next week, is this a hit it situation from me?
And it's I am filled with light you cannot vanquish from me.
Live long and Podsper.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Captain's Pod. If you'd like to get in touch with the podcast, you can send us an email to ian@iananddeneé.com. And if you want to support the show and get the episodes early, you can go to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/iananddeneé. If you want to catch the show live, we have those links down in the description for YouTube and Twitch. And then I think I'm supposed to close this hailing frequency, so bloop bloop, we're out. Why do you look confused?
Because the levels seem very hot.
Okay. like alarming? Or can you are you monitoring? You're not, but put your headphones on. Yeah, headphones on.
Testing. Hello. Testing.
I just want you to know that I had to burp really bad, but I didn't do it in the microphone.
I appreciate it because you would have waited until I put my headphones in to do that. Okay, hang on. It's your mic that's picking up lot of... Why are you at 62? What the fuck happened there? Jeez.
You did
I
have
know
the
what
cat.
happened. It's the cat. It's the fucking cat. Oh my God.
It's the cat. The cat laid on it.
The cat. If you're not on the Ian and Deneé Discord, I shared a few pictures last week while I was editing last week's episode of the pod, because the cat decided to come to my desk, first of all fell asleep on top of my mouse, so I had to dig my mouse out from under his podge to continue working. And
podge.
Then he moved and sat on my deck board thing that does all of the audio levels, and his podge has moved all of the levels and has adjusted everything. So now let's try and make Deneé a more sensible volume.
I'm a more sensitive volume. We have such a thing going on right now too that like I just woke up.
Oh yeah, we've been awake for about half an hour.
So
you've got that early morning voice.
I've like got that
on.
deep voice thing going on. So that the podcast is going to be like Deneé sounds like she's smoking a bunch of cigarettes, and then it's going to be like a normal voice hopefully by the time the show starts.
Yeah, the intro is going to be markedly different. A drastic haircut, which we had the reverse with Uhura, who had a drastic...
No!
Fortunately, we're not using your board, as the cat just sat on yours.
Kitty, you can't sit on my board.
This cat is getting so bold with sitting on our desks.
Sit on the desk.
He loves the... I think it's because the board is slightly raised. It like gives him an angle to lean on. How many times do you think Kirk is going to relive Spock's more intimate experiences in his brain post-mind meld?
Like, how many times is he going to, like, have a little personal... This is an R-rated show.
It is.
If there's children around, this is a stream at your own risk situation.
Yeah.
Are you thinking he's going to, like, bank fap to, like, Spock's... do you know any... And that's something that...
I know what you mean, but I thought fap was gender specific.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, he himself is like, oh, I want to bank that one for the fappy later.
You meant... No, I'm not going to do it. I thought fap was specifically for women.
No, I thought that was for men.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's both. I think it could be both.
Should we have done that during the actual podcast?
Done what?
That conversation? No, we shouldn't.
No,
that's a live
we
show
shouldn't.
thing.
We should.
Okay.
That's definitely an outtakes kind of thing. Oh, and Ian did forget to give pips last week.
You did?
I think. I think. And I think for the record, my pips for last week's episode was 3 pips.
The other thing happening with the Derper Prize is we mentioned, I think on the live show, about possibly doing a Patreon tier where we have like a continuing Derper Prize story.
Yes, an ongoing, like, not webcomic, but...
We should not have said that.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, we should not.
We should not have said that because then it popped off, and everyone, which is so exciting, and everyone who's excited about it is like putting their show ideas in, and you're supposed to be keeping track of it.
I am keeping track of it.
That's amazing. Well done. I'm just like, what the fuck? I went in there and there was a mention of the character that I play on Wild RP suddenly joining the Derper Prize.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is like the merging of worlds right now.
That's what I was going to say, was there is an expanded universe element to this where now alternate characters that don't play Star Trek are now joining.
I do then want to practice my Babs voice a little bit more, but I don't know if I could do it in the mornings because she's not a morning person, and that's because like I don't know that I could actually make her voice work in the morning.
She's not awake before 12 p.m. Oh no. It sounds like the warp core is leaking. Who's your favourite alien so far, Babs?
Oh, I love the one that stabs their eyes.
You would.
Really interesting makeup patterns just afterwards.
Yeah.
In the next few days, we're going to record a special episode, which is just us recapping the entire season.
Assuming the ambassador remembers any of it.
And that could be part of the show. Here's how it's going to work. We're not going to put it in the podcast feed. We're going to put it on Patreon. So if you're already supporting us on Patreon, then it'll just show up in your feed. So if you're a tieflinger, it'll be there for you.
bonus content.
But we're also going to experiment with putting it out for anyone to be able to just buy as a digital download. So if somebody doesn't want to or cannot, for whatever reason, do monthly support on Patreon, it's just like a little one-time thing. So we're going to do a specialty episode of the show for you. We have more time sometimes, like most of the time in the evenings. And so it'll be like a loopy late night evening.
It could be really late. We may do whiskey. We should do it with booze. We should absolutely
have
do
a
it.
drink and talk.
Yeah, drink and talk.
No.
Oh my gosh. That should be our 10 Forward themed like episode where we gradually drink more and more and talk about Star Trek.
Oh my God, that'd be awful.
That would be amazing.
It's a terrible show. By the end of it, you're just...
Yeah, create an episode of Star Trek in 10 Forward.
I have a question. If the show devolved into does that like normal though?
It feels like basically what it devolves into anyway.
Because TNG does have like the poker open and things like that. Mm-hmm. Maybe they didn't do it as...
Poker open.
Really?
I'm so sorry.
You're such a boy. No offense to the boys out there.
Continue, please. Continue.